Good morning. In this fourth video, we shall study the central nervous system. Let us watch a video on the central nervous system.
The central nervous system. Objective: to learn about the central nervous system. The nervous system is responsible for sending, receiving, and interpreting information from all parts of the body. It responds to external stimuli and also monitors and coordinates the functions of internal organs. The central nervous system is composed of the brain and spinal cord. Both are enclosed in protective layers called meninges. The outer layer is called the dura mater. The middle layer is called the arachnoid mater, and the inner layer is called the pia mater. The subarachnoid space, or the space between the arachnoid and the pia mater, is filled with cerebrospinal fluid. The brain. The brain is located in the cranium of the skull. It is made of three main parts: the cerebrum, cerebellum, and medulla oblongata. The cerebrum is the largest part of the brain and is divided into left and right hemispheres. Each is composed of a frontal, temporal, parietal, and occipital lobe. The two hemispheres are connected by a nerve tract called the corpus callosum. The surface of the cerebral hemisphere is folded, which increases the surface area. The cerebrum is concerned with learning, memory, interpretation, and personality. The cerebellum is located in the back of the brain, just below the cerebrum. It controls balance, movement, and coordination. The brainstem is located beneath the cerebrum and in front of the cerebellum. It connects the brain with the spinal cord and is composed of the midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. The brainstem controls a number of autonomic functions, including respiration and blood pressure. The spinal cord. The spinal cord extends from the medulla oblongata and down the back. It is protected by the vertebral column. The spinal cord is a hollow tube containing cerebrospinal fluid. 31 pairs of spinal nerves arise from the spinal cord. These nerves transmit information from body organs to the brain and from the brain to the organs. Summary. The brain and the spinal cord comprise of the central nervous system. The brain is located in the cranium. The spinal cord is located in the vertebral column.
Okay, students, so I hope you have seen the video and understood the central nervous system. So, today we'll be studying the human nervous system, in which the human nervous system is divided into three types: the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system, and the autonomic nervous system. So, in the central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord, as we have seen in the video. The organization of the brain is extremely delicate and highly evolved. The brain is the main controlling part of the nervous system, and it is safely located in the cranial cavity. The spinal cord is protected by the vertebral column. In the space between the delicate central nervous system and its bony covering are the protective layers called the meninges. Cavities present in various parts of the brain are called ventricles. So you can underline ventricles and meninges. Whereas the tubular long cavity of the spinal cord is called the central canal. You can underline it. The ventricles, the central canal, and the spaces between the meninges are filled with cerebrospinal fluid. Yeah, you can underline that. This fluid supplies nutrients to the central nervous system and protects it from shock. So, on the next page, 173, let us look at the structure of the brain. In the first picture, 15.11, you can see the cerebrum at the top, followed by the cerebellum below it. Okay, the cerebrum occupies a major portion of the brain. Cerebellum is a smaller part. The spinal cord you can see from the base of the brain. The medulla oblongata also you can see over there. Then in the structure of the brain you can also see convolutions of the brain. Convolutions are ups and downs. Okay, there are curves. Why does this curve or convolutions are there in the cerebrum? Because to increase the surface area of the brain. Okay, that's why convolutions are there. Okay, ups and downs are there. Then you can see the pons, the spinal cord, the medulla oblongata, and the cerebellum. Now, let us look at figure 15.14, left and the right sides of the brain. Okay, so here you can see functions of the left brain are basically analytical thinking, analysis, that is, you will analyze things, logical thinking, language, those students or those people who are good in languages, the left brain is better, functioning well, and even science and mathematics, those who are good in science and mathematics, the left brain is functioning better. Functions of the right brain: the right brain does holistic thinking, intuition, creativity, and art and music. So those children who are good in creativity, art and music, their right brain is better developed. Now, the brain of an adult human weighs about 1300 to 1400 grams and consists of approximately 100 billion neurons. Okay, underline that, 1300 to 1400 and 100 billion neurons. I just want to quote here, or just want to inform you that the number of neurons in the brain at birth remains the same lifelong. So we have to protect our head very much. So we should not fall on the head. We have to take ultimate care, because if the neurons are damaged, it is a permanent damage, and the part which those neurons control, for example speech, hearing, memory, that person loses that function. Okay, so we have to take ultimate care of the brain. Even when a small baby falls down, we have to take care. You have to show to the doctor, take MRI or CT scan. So we have to protect the brain very much. Now, the left side of a brain controls the right side of a body, and the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body. In addition, the left side of the brain controls our speech and conversation, writing, logical thinking, whereas the right side controls artistic abilities. Now, let us go to the next part of the brain, the cerebrum. This is the largest part of a brain and consists of two cerebral hemispheres. Please underline the first sentence there. It is the largest part of the brain and consists of two cerebral hemispheres. These hemispheres are joined with each other with the help of tough fibers and nerve tracts. Underline those tough fibers and nerve tracts. The cerebrum occupies 2/3 of the brain, hence it is called as a large brain. Okay, 2/3 part of the brain is occupied, so it's called as a large brain. Its surface has deep, irregular ridges and grooves, which are called as convolutions, underline that, deep, irregular ridges and grooves, which are called as convolutions. Convolution increases the surface area of the brain, and therefore a large number of nerve cells can be accommodated. Again, I shall explain to you. Convolutions increase the surface area of the cerebrum, and therefore a large number of nerve cells can be accommodated. Next part is the cerebellum. This is the smaller part of the brain situated below the cerebrum at the back of the cranial cavity. Its surface shows shallow grooves instead of deep convolutions. Okay? Now, let's go to medulla oblongata. It is the hindmost part of the brain. There are two triangular swollen structures called as pyramids, okay, on the upper side of the medulla oblongata. The medulla oblongata continues downwards as the spinal cord. Okay, so let us continue on the next page. Now, think about it. An injury to the medulla oblongata can lead to death. Why? You all must have heard that a person falls and he died on the spot, or if somebody hits on the neck of a person, the person dies instantaneously. Why does this happen? I shall tell you, because the medulla oblongata relays nerve signals between the brain and the spinal cord. Now, as the signals between the brain and the spinal cord are broken, it performs the life-saving function. Damage to it causes death. So, the medulla oblongata is a very important part. Okay, injury to it can cause death. Now, let us go to spinal cord. Here you can see in the pictures, okay, 15.15, the spinal cord. The spinal cord is a part of the central nervous system and it is held within the vertebral column. Okay, it's inside the vertebral column. It is slightly thick but gradually tapers towards the end. There is a thread-like fibrous structure at its end. It is called as filum terminale. Okay, terminale means at the end. So in the picture you can see the spinal cord, how the nerves are there in the first picture. In the second picture you can see the spinal cord with the vertebra at the side. So it is protected over there. And in the third picture you can see the brain, the spinal cord going from the brain downwards, and the vertebral column, that is the backbone. Okay, so a small part of it is enlarged and the enlarged part is shown to us in the picture. Now here find out is cancelled. Okay, find out is totally cancelled, so don't worry about it. Now let us go to the table, parts of the brain, functions. Now cerebrum, control of voluntary movements. Voluntary, you know, according to our will, that is walking, talking, running, etc. Concentration, planning, decision making, memory, intelligence and intellectual activities. Second, cerebellum. Function is coordination of voluntary movements. Coordination means when you are walking, you have to walk properly. It should not be haphazard way. Okay, so it is a coordinated movement, and also maintaining body's balance. So suppose sometimes a person, sometimes he falls giddy, he falls sick, he is not able to walk properly, then that time the cerebellum, something is wrong with it. Okay, medulla oblongata controls the involuntary activities like beating of the heart, blood circulation, breathing, sneezing, coughing, salivation, etc. Okay, salivation is secretion of salivary glands, that is saliva. Now, spinal cord. First function, conduction of impulses from the skin towards the brain. Suppose somebody pinches you, that message is sent by the skin to the brain. Second, conduction of impulses from the brain to the muscles and the glands. For example, suppose you see a snake suddenly. So and then the brain immediately sends a message to the muscles or the glands to run away or to beat the snake. Third, functions as a center of coordination of reflex action. So here it coordinates a reflex action. Suppose you hold something very hot in your hand, you get burnt. So immediately your hand is pulled. So this is the function, coordination of the reflex action. Now let us go to the next page, 175. We will be studying here the peripheral nervous system. Periphery means towards the sides. Okay. So peripheral. The peripheral nervous system consists of the nerves originating from the central nervous system. These nerves connect the central nervous system with all parts of the body. They are of two types. A. Cranial nerves. Cranial means from the brain. Nerves originating from the brain are called as cranial nerves. You can underline them. So, cranial nerves. They are associated with various parts in the head, thorax and abdomen. Okay, so you know your body parts: head, thorax and abdomen. There are 12 pairs of cranial nerves. B. Spinal nerves. Underline, nerves originating from the spinal cord are called spinal nerves. These are associated with the arms, legs, skin and some other parts of the body. There are 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Underline both these lines. Again I shall read it. Spinal nerves, they originate from the spinal cord and are called as spinal nerves. These are associated with arms, legs, skin and some other parts of the body. There are 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Now let us go to the third type of nervous system called as the autonomic nervous system. The autonomous nervous system consists of nerves of involuntary organs like the heart, lungs, stomach. It is not under the control of our will. Okay. So now let us see the reflex action. An immediate and involuntary response given to a stimulus from the environment is called a reflex action. So just put a bracket or underline the definition of reflex action. Again I shall read it. An immediate and involuntary response given to a stimulus from the environment is called reflex action. Sometimes we react to an incident without any thinking on our part or control over the reaction. This is a response given to a certain stimulus from the surroundings. In such situations, proper control and coordination is achieved even without the intervention of the brain. So your brain is not taking part. Intervention means in between it is not coming, it is not interrupting. Okay. For example, in the picture you can see here 15.16 reflex action. Here there is a candle and a person is touching, the finger is touching the candle fire, it gets burnt, so immediately it is pulled back. Okay. So in the picture you can see the labeled parts over there. You can see the muscles, the brain, the spinal cord. Okay. Now observe the above picture or figure carefully and as per the numbers in that figures answer the following questions. What is happening in 1 and 2? So in figures 1 and 2, a finger is getting burnt, that is it receives a stimulus. At 2, the finger becomes red. Okay, so the finger has become red. B. Which nerve carried the impulse to the point marked 3? So it is the spinal nerves. Now in which direction is the conducting the impulse? So it is conducting impulse in the direction of the spinal cord. Okay, it is going towards the spinal cord. You can see the arrow there. Now C. Which is the nerve shown in 4 point? It's a relay nerve. It is a relay nerve. You can write it over there. Which is the organ marked as 5? It is the spinal cord. So which organ is that? Spinal cord. At 6, which nerve is conducting the response impulse? So at 6, it is the motor nerve. Okay, motor. At 7, where has the impulse reached? It has reached the muscle. And what is the effect? The effect is that the muscles contract and the forearm is pulled back. Okay. So here this is a reflex action. Now try this. Sketch and label the above figure and try to sketch any other example of reflex action. Now students, I hope you have understood the central nervous system, which includes the CNS, the peripheral nervous system and autonomic nervous system. The human nervous system consists of the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system and autonomic nervous system. So I hope you have followed. With this, we will continue in the next 5th video.